Ranking Member Boyle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd cited this week's cover of The Economist. It's not just The Economist. All of these news outlets as well. I thought I'd read off a couple in terms of the performance of the economy under the Biden administration. Washington Post, U.S. economy's rising growth, falling inflation quells recession fears. Bloomberg, U.S. is still world's biggest economy as it extends its lead over China. BBC, U.S. economy is powering ahead of Europe's. CNN, another shockingly good jobs report shows America's economy is booming. The Guardian, Biden right to say U.S. economy is world's strongest, Trump ally says. And I could go on and on about the record of this administration as it relates to economic strength. Let me turn, though, to Social Security and Medicare. I talked about the Republican budget just released yesterday, the Republican Study Committee, which includes 80% of House Republicans, proposing trillions of cuts in Social Security and Medicare. That does seem aligned with what former President Trump said. Just last week on CNBC, former President Trump said, quote, "There is a lot you can do in terms of entitlements, in terms of cutting," end quote. I'm wondering if the president agrees, if President Biden agrees with former President Trump's view about a lot to do in terms of cutting entitlements or the House Republican budget, which cuts Social Security and Medicare. Do you agree with that approach? And what approach does President Biden's administration take in his new fiscal year budget?
Ranking Member Boyle, you heard it from the president himself at the State of the Union. He will not sign any legislation, and we will do anything to prevent benefit cuts in these. And you heard me speak about this. These are not just programs for people who've paid into them their entire lives. Imagine having the rug pulled from under you, thinking you were going to retire, thinking Social Security and Medicare are going to be there for you. Now, we think there should be plans to make sure they're solvent. And in addition to no benefit cuts, we believe the highest income earners in this country paying more into both of those programs would create a solvency situation without having to cut benefits.
Yeah, let me interject there just to segue to what I think you're about to speak to. Where there has been bipartisan agreement, a number of us, both the chair and me as ranking member, have acknowledged that with Social Security, the trust fund is projected to expire in 2034. In Medicare, the trust funds are set to go insolvent before that. So no one up here is saying that we can't do anything. I was wondering if you could address that and talk about the president's approach.
Yeah, I talked about the principles he believes in Social Security. One that doesn't get as much attention, including no benefit cuts and asking the wealthiest Americans to pay more into Social Security, is we need to make sure Americans can access their Social Security benefits. Look at the Social Security Administration's budget. As beneficiaries grow, the number of staff and resources are on a complete opposite curve on the way down. We have asked for increases, speaking of non-defense discretionary, when we don't fund that, we don't fund things like Social Security Administration. So we implore you to please pass the Social Security Administration 9% increase the president's asking for. On Medicare solvency, you've seen this proposal before from the president that asks the wealthiest individuals to pay 1.2% more into Medicare. As the chairman is right, also the prescription drug savings, if we expand the prescription drug provisions allowing Medicare to negotiate, that saves for seniors and also saves for the government. We also close tax loopholes. Those who find ways not to pay into Medicare, ensure that they do. Those things would extend Medicare insolvency in perpetuity. That's a big deal, and I hope we can take that proposal seriously and get it debated.
And I would remind folks that the ability, for the first time ever, for Medicare to negotiate down the cost of prescription drugs was thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act, which every single Republican member of the House and Senate voted against. And with that, I thank the director and I yield back.